Welcome back to Badass Women 50 Plus. I am 88-year-old Robin Lane. I am a director, producer, psychotherapist, and the creator of Badass Women. And it's going to be my pleasure today to introduce you to the gal who often shares our interviewing. She is my co-host and best bud, Maria Secor. And though Maria is far from 50, as you will see, she is a badass. She's an actress, a director, a producer, and a multi-award winning filmmaker. And though age is not yet a challenge for her, she is mixed race in a profession that favors Caucasians. The entertainment industry is a challenge for women in general, as only 1 out of every 4 jobs go to actresses. And if, like Maria, you're not only female, but you're mixed race, well, then the challenge is daunting. Out of that small pie, white actresses get 75% of it. 12.5% go to black actresses, 5% go to Hispanics, and Asian American actresses get a mere morsel. So how does an artist overcome all of these odds and stay viable in this industry? Well, Maria Secor is here to tell us. But before we delve into all of that, let me introduce her to you by way of a clip of her performing opposite Zoe Saldana and Omar Gooding in the TV series Playmaker of New Orleans, back somewhat at the start of her career. And though the quality of the video has deteriorated a bit, her star quality shines through.
Girl, you are fine. That's real. That ain't a wedding ring, is it?
No, it's not, baby. That would be on this finger.
Okay, just making sure.
But that is so sweet. You say the nicest things.
Let me get your number before we get up out of here. For real.
Wait, is he for real?
Yeah. Bartender, help him play out, man. Can I get a pen?
Tracy! Tracy!
Oh, everybody, this is my little baby sister, Jada.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, champagne, bartender.
Oh,
Take off your jacket.
it's your shirt.
Oh, it's cute. Look at this.
Girl, tonight we are gonna celebrate.
Yeah. You are a full-fledged woman now.
What are you saying?
Here's to my little baby sister, Jada. This is her big night. Bartender, cherries.
Oh, no.
Yo, baby, you go to SC2?
Excuse me, this is my little sister, and she is spoken for.
So, Maria Secor, that was Playmakers of New York? Is that correct?
That was actually Playmakers of New Orleans.
Playmakers of New Orleans, and you were wearing your braids in that. So, one of the things, we will get into more serious stuff, but you get into parts through hairstyles, correct?
Absolutely. I mean,
Because as our audience is going to see in your videos, each part's a different hair.
well, it's all a part of slipping into fiction. I mean, today for this interview, this is blow-dried, curled, and dropped a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Ta-da! How does it look?
It looks
But
gorgeous.
so today I'm being myself, and I'm here with you. So this is my Maria hairstyle. I'm pumped up a little bit. But yes, when I do slip into fiction, it's great because all of my characters have different hairstyles. It's a staple for not only actresses but for ethnic girls like myself.
Talking about ethnic girls.
Yes.
So, in that, you played one kind of ethnicity, and you have had an issue throughout your career. I mean, being as talented as you are and as beautiful as you are, you should have been a big star by now, and that's held you back, hasn't it?
It has. It's interesting when you say you should have been a big star. I mean, what does that really mean? I don't even
Money, fame, okay, and having
Sure.
the option of picking the parts you want to play. That's what it means.
Right.
Artistic freedom.
And I guess I slipped into, at one point it was a B actor, and then one point now it's working actress. I think that race plays a very important part, especially now. Oftentimes I hear people say, Maria, it should be easier for you now as an actress because ethnic actresses are working. That's a lot of bull. That's so not true. Um, and those same people, unfortunately, sometimes most of them even come across and they'll say something like, oh, well, why do we have to hire all ethnic actresses? Or you look at projects that mainly are African American. That doesn't necessarily mean it's an African American project or an all Asian project. I mean, when you see Steven Spielberg doing The Color Purple, I mean, it's a film. I think that we just get so pegged into certain places, and it's been very hard for me because I've never been, well, obviously I can't play Caucasian, but I'm never Spanish enough. I'm never Black enough. I'm never Asian enough. I'm never mixed enough. It has played a big role for me in my career, and it's been very difficult. But it's part of the package. It's part of what
Yeah,
happens.
I'm sure. I'm sure there are plenty of times it gets you down.
Yeah. You know,
Or is it
even
not in
when
your nature?
No, it's not in my nature, but it is very frustrating because, you get to a point where you hear casting directors or producers call you personally and talk about how close you were or how you were
Or
almost there,
talk
or how
about
much
how
you
what
loved
you
the
are?
work.
I didn't say that. Say that again. I didn't understand what you said. They talk to you about how what you are?
About how close to getting a role you were, or how
How
much they enjoyed
close?
close, or how much they enjoyed your performance, but how I would
But
fit, but
but
how I would fit in a cast, right? Because there's also something that we always have to think about, which is, and I learned this as a director, is that there's also somewhat of a cast palette that you have to look at. So majority of the times, the lead actress is Caucasian, and
of
if she,
course,
right, and if she's
yes.
blonde hair, blue eyed, I may be a little bit too strong next to her, or I might not fit. Or the times that I was able to play a leading lady, right, which were very few. You look at, well, my best friend, who would that be? Usually it was someone ethnic. It was never someone that was Caucasian. I mean, I can't recall a time where I was a leading lady and my best friend was Caucasian, blonde hair and blue eyed. Maybe a brunette, maybe a little bit more of the lines of someone Italian or Latin or someone of ethnic descent. So,
You know what you were talking. Excuse me, Marie, but what you were talking
sure.
about before about
Mhm.
how people say, "Oh well, it's so much easier now." I hear that all the time. I hear that from friends that should know better,
Well,
that will
I
tell
don't
me, "Oh well, minorities are getting all these roles," and it's so crazy when you look up the statistics. It has nothing to do with reality.
But I think that also teaches me that if it's a person that's white, they really haven't learned the lesson. You see, you can't really just preach and say, hey, give someone an opportunity of a certain ethnic background, race, or religion. And then when the opportunity faces itself, you say, oh, well, there's so many opportunities for you. And then you make a comment about it. So really, where does that person stand? You have to really
That's
think
a very
about
good question, but we can't answer that question right now because what we want to do is take a look at you in Jersey Justice, where you have my absolute favorite hairstyle. But before we do, can you just bring us into the story a little bit?
Sure. I played opposite of Emmy Award winning Blanche Baker, a good friend of mine, wonderful actress, and I got to play a butch femme lesbian. So and it was great because she was very tough. She was somewhat blue collar. She was a bartender, and it was just a really cool role because I got to play a really tough girl, and I even got to do some of my own
And the
stunts.
story?
And the story is about Polly O'Bannon, who plays Blanche Baker. She loses her son, and two killers from New Jersey actually attack him, kill him, and she goes on this wild hunt to find out who the killers are. And during that time, she meets me, and I go on this wild, uh, this wild. I go on this wild goose chase
Well, it
with her.
doesn't matter, Maria, because we're only going to see when you first meet her.
Okay.
So, as long as the audience is brought into that. So, let's go to video.
I don't know. You need anything else? You want another shot?
No. I'm done here. But, maybe you could help me.
Oh, sure, anything. I mean, anything.
I'm going on to Tabernacle. I'm looking for this place called Mrs. J's. I'm looking for these two men. They killed my husband. I am going to find them, and I am going to kill them.
Do not let us get in your way.
Be quiet, Finn. Look, lady. I mean, you could call the police and this could all be over.
Excuse me. I am going to do this, me, and I have to finish this today. Now, why don't you just help me? Why don't you do it for my son and my husband?
Lady, these are the Hawks. And, these are the Red Hawks. You're gonna be in a lot of trouble messing with these guys, especially Roberto and Carlo.
Wait a minute. You really know them. What's going on here? Are you just trying to protect them?
Oh boy, why don't I just call an ambulance to meet you at Mrs. J's? And you, remember the last time you f***ed with Carlo? Come on, Felix. Damn.
That's my business, goofball. What do you know? More rumors from those pud knockers at the old Friendly Sons? You old f***ers are like old ladies with your f***ing gossip. No more booze for you, Finny. Out! And that goes for you too, Mrs. O'Bannon. Is this really gonna bring back your husband and your son?
I'll pay you. You just tell me how much.
Now you're talking. And you can buy yourself some hospitalization insurance, Felix.
Believe me, I would love to see Carlo get his due.
All right, then just tell me what to do. Come on, Felix, help me.
Closing down. Everybody out.
Hey, what about me?
Go home, Finny. You're retired. Do something useful. Stop drinking so early in the morning. Now get out of my bar. Polly, you come with me.
We're back. But
Yes.
that is my favorite hairdo that you have. Okay.
That was long and curly.
Yes. So tell us about, you started out as a model, isn't that true? On Miss
yes.
America? You've
Well,
done
I
a lot of
started-
things. You're a dancer, a model, Miss America, always in the limelight.
Well, not Miss America, but yes, I did, because I belonged to a dance company. It was a junior dance company when I was younger, and they were looking for a model for Capezio. And they wanted somebody that was young, anywhere between the age of 13 to 18. Back then I was 13. So I did my first print ad for Capezio dance for clothing. It was for dance clothes. I did my first.
And Maria, who introduced you to that? Your mom?
No, they were actually doing a search at dance companies and at dance schools. And so I sent in a photo, and then I remember it was a
At 13, you were smart enough to send in a photo?
Well, my mother did.
Oh, okay.
Because I had ballet pictures and so on and so forth. So she sent it in, and then I got a call about a couple of weeks later. I thought I would never hear from them, but then, so I modeled their dance wear, which was a lot of fun, and that led me to other things in print work.
And the other things?
The other things, so I've done parts modeling for legs. I've modeled for Revlon hair and eye makeup and eyelashes and everything down the gamut. Some as well as some magazine covers and other products for
I have
Fortune
not seen your
500
magazine
companies.
covers. So the next time we get together, you're going to bring over the magazine covers.
Sure,
Okay.
I mean, they're ancient, but I'll bring them over. Yeah, but yeah, that's how I got started. I started doing print work. It was really from my dance company at the time. I had that opportunity.
So let's go back to, you had been talking about the different kinds of roles that you can play when you have kind of an undetermined ethnicity. And what do you call it? You call it, there's a name you told me once. It's called non-something. What is that?
Sure. Occasionally, there will be roles for what they say non-race specific women.
Non-race specific. Okay, because we're going to show a little clip where it is race specific. All right, the last thing we saw was non-race specific, but this one you play Hispanic.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look. It's from Kalo.
Open up!
Aguanta contra, hold on.
What do you want?
We're looking for Freddie Leone.
He's at work. Can I give him a message?
Strike 3. We're looking for his friend Ty Amsinger, who used to rob banks with.
No. Freddie never robbed no banks. Those were all lies. And if you're looking for Ty Amsinger, he's in prison.
He just broke out a couple hours ago.
Look, Ty knows all types of bad people. Peor que un criminals, like Val Chester and Robbie Simon. So why don't you two go bother them?
We were just at their houses, and they were in bed, like most people at this hour.
Well, Freddie works the early shift. He starts at 3 a.m.
What does he work?
He's a bag handler at Louis Armstrong.
We are back. That was definitely race specific.
Bilingual at that.
Bilingual at that. But then
Sure.
you go on to become a filmmaker yourself. And I assume that that was because it was parts were hard to get, given the problems that we're talking about. What I really was very surprised was that, unlike most actresses, you didn't make your first film about starring yourself. You made one about a dance company of African American kids in the inner city in Bed-Stuy.
Yes.
So how come?
Well, originally, my writing partner, Frank, and he brought me to this group of dancers. And back then I was doing 2 other documentaries. So even though that was my first one that got distribution, there were other projects that I was working on. But when I met these characters, BSV, that stands for the Bed-Stuy Veterans, I was really, really inspired. I was really inspired by the way they would transcend art through their dance.
So tell us about these kids.
This community, these dancers were able to literally learn and teach themselves how to dance this type of dance style in sometimes a 6x6 space, which is the side of a sidewalk. And they would do these dance moves that were Bruckup moves. And Bruckup originally, it comes from Jamaica, from George Bruckup Adams. And in Patois, they say Bruckup, meaning that you're broke up, like you're broken. And so they're dancing as if their bones are broken. But what was compelling was that how these dancers not only were the most well-renowned dancers in the world at the time, and how it had a Caribbean and hip-hop foundation with popping, locking, and so on and so forth. But what they did was they used this dance form and they created a dance competition called Loud League, the League of Unreal Dancers. And they brought kids in the community in Brooklyn and around the world to come together for this competition. But what it did was it saved lives, because these kids had something to aspire to. They could live in their post-World War I apartments in small spaces and dance and practice day after day after day with the music and the culture and so on and so forth. And what did that do? That kept them off the streets.
That's
That
great,
helped
Marie.
me.
That's
Right.
great. And I can picture it because I know those buildings. Yeah.
Yeah, and instead of
I remember you telling me that a couple of those dancers were actually homeless.
They were. And that's the other compelling part, is that instead of forming gangs, they formed dance crews. And they got to know each other, and they got to battle, and they learned about sportsmanship. They learned about what it was like to be the best, and they would aspire to be the best. And that's why these dancers are so world renowned now, is because of the fact that they have taken this to a new level. But
they're also renowned because you made a film about them, which won many, many awards. So on that note, let's go to video.
I had never seen anything like it. It's a revolutionary thing to see a completely new dance form.
We dance like it's war.
Like a ritual. Everything you do means something.
That whole gritty nature of street dance, they know how to bring it.
You're BSV, you're an innovator.
Our styles are original.
I'm George Adams, the original Bruckup.
When I saw Bruckup, something connected right there. It's just when I found my passion. And I think that's what saved me.
He is the start of what New York dance style is, period.
Bruck Up is more than just dancing. It's becoming your own character, your own self.
Right. What's BSB without the kids? We have to make sure that they stay out of trouble and hopefully love the dance.
We want to show the world what we doing in Brooklyn, how we trying to beat the streets in our own little way.
We all live in the same area, grew up together, know each other very well, and we love each other.
I think the world is gonna look at these young men. One day somebody gonna be like, I wanna be like them.
Bob Marley once said, a whole lot of bad people work hard to make the world bad. Who are we to take a day off, making it good?
My
So let's
absolute
talk-
favorite trailer.
Now let's talk about the next film that you made, which you were actually in, and which you claim your Asian identity.
Yes.
Okay, you want to talk about that, and that's called Kicks. How were you inspired to do that?
Well, actually, it was after when President Trump was elected, and he moved with that Muslim ban, and it just stopped immigration. And then I thought about the immigrants in this country, about what they felt like. And in this case, my character was half Asian, half Puerto Rican, and another character was half Japanese, half Black. Another character was English and Korean.
Hold on a second, excuse me. You wrote, you directed it,
Yes.
you starred in it. What gave you the idea to write it about sneakers, of all things?
Well, in New York, it's very common that we have what you call sneakerheads, and it's a group anywhere between 8 years old all the way up to 58 years old, and they collect sneakers, and usually they have to wait online. And then I thought about it, and I said, how can you get an ensemble cast together in some way to talk about a racial issue that can ensue? And I said, oh my goodness, exactly. It would be a line where everyone is going to buy the latest sneakers, and these kids of mixed Asian race get together, and then of course a racial discussion happens overnight, and then in the morning the resolve is that they realize how they are all very similar by being part Asian, but also having an American story that's unique to them.
What's interesting to me is that as we've been talking, in your career, you were basically an outsider. And what I'm very surprised is in that film that the Philippines is considered to be outside. Well, why don't we go to video and people will see
Sure.
what I'm talking about.
Change gon' come. Oh, yes you will. Change gon' come. Oh, yes you will. But nah. But nah. But nah. I'ma grab a hold of life and short this chick by the neck. I'm tempted by the devil wearing Prada's red dress. Yeah, I tread in thick water, swimming in the deep ends. Yo, I'm shooting people's bonds, care about a vest. I'm all about a dollar, wanting more, nothing less. Yeah, that's why it's like Cali. We the fast.
All right, listen up, sneakerheads. Now, I'm going to be handing out numbers for the limited edition Yakisotos. But I do have some rules. Number one, if you leave your spot in line, you're out of the line. Okay? Also, I only have one size per pair, so some of you will get a pair, some of you won't. You're number one.
Hey, that's what's up. That's my name too.
That's your name.
Yeah, I'm a lyricist. I'm number one.
You know, if you're hashtagged on social media, you may come up as a Chinese restaurant.
Trying to play me.
All right, who's number two?
I am.
What are you, twins? Can't be the both of you.
We both got it at the same time.
All right, but you can't be the same size, right? What size are you both?
12 and a half.
You know what? Figure this out on your own. You're adults. Barely. All right, what's up with the two of you?
Well, we both have the same issue, but I believe in ladies first.
Well, I believe in women's lib, so you need to wait, homie.
I'm not your homie.
All right. What size are you, ladies?
5.
You know what?
You can figure this out.
Homies.
Look, we're all obviously Asian. I mean, I'm full Asian, you both are half Asian. We're all the same.
No, we're not. Malcolm and I, we live it. We contribute to it.
And so do white people and Asians and the whole damn world.
Where are you from?
Jersey. Where are your parents from? Puerto Rican and Filipino.
Filipinos aren't even Asian. You're from the Pacific Islands.
Wow, she went there.
Are you that limited in your brain that you don't think Filipinos are Asians? Am I gonna have to stand next to her all night?
Mixed breeds are always fighting for something, especially Amerasians.
Really?
I'm just saying you guys don't know who you are.
I know that my mother was Filipino and my father was Puerto Rican. You, on the other hand, you dress in hip-hop like you own this fat.
More like pose or steal.
Who are your peoples? Asians that want to be down? You just use our fashion and dress like us and party with us until it's over. And then you say that we have problems? The Philippines has problems. Puerto Rico has problems. You are the problem.
You have problems. Damn, she's mean.
Okay, so we're back. So tell us about the future. What's coming up for you? What you're working on now?
Well, it's really exciting. I'm working on 3 feature documentaries, and the one that I started working on the longest was called Freestyle Music, The Legacy, about the Latin artists from the 80s and 90s that came out of Spanish Harlem and the Bronx that created freestyle music, which was a version of using hip-hop beats and speeding them up to a certain pace. And actually it's they would go from 112 to 118 beats per minute. And it's just really exciting to get all of these artists and bring them together and have them talk about their New York experiences as Latinos, mainly coming from Puerto Rico, some coming from...
So I have to interrupt you because we're going to be running out of time very soon. But so what you're working on now is essentially writing, producing, and directing?
That is correct. For these documentaries, yes.
So you're a limelight, you're not in front of the camera. You're behind the camera. You're right. You're behind the camera. You're too pretty to be behind the camera.
Thank you.
We've got to get you in front of the camera. Anyhow,
okay, here I am.
Anyhow, homie.
Yes, homie.
It's fabulous to have you on. So maybe one of these days you will interview me. Okay.
That was exciting. What an honor. That would be great. Then we would need a 2-hour episode. This is fantastic. This is a great time.
All right. Hugs and kisses.
Thank you. Mwah.
Remember, we are on the last Tuesday of every month. So here's a big embrace and see you next time.